My shock was quickly broken by a sharp scream coming from James' room, followed by loud crashes. I quickly grabbed the knife from the drawer and moved upstairs with the speed that only a father whose child is in danger could have. I burst through the door and flicked on the lights. Everything in the room was knocked over and tossed on the floor. My poor son in his bed, crying and shaking with fear. A pool of urine staining the sheets. I scooped my child up and ran out of the house, went next door to Tom and Linda's house, and luckily they were still awake. They let me use their phone and call the police. It didn't take them long to arrive, and I explained what had happened. They looked at me as if I was crazy. They searched the house, but all they found was a dead dog and 2 trashed rooms. The officer told me that someone had probably gotten into the house and done this right before making a quick escape. When they heard me coming up the stairs, well, I knew it wasn't true. All the doors were locked and none of the windows were open. Whatever was in that house didn't come from the outside. The next day, James stayed inside. I didn't want him to leave my sight. I went into the garage and found his old baby monitor, and I set it up in his room. If anything comes into his room tonight, I was going to be able to hear it. I went to the kitchen and grabbed the largest knife from the drawer and put it in my nightstand. Imaginary friend or not, I'm not letting anything hurt my little boy. Soon enough, night came. I put James to bed. He was afraid, but I promised him that I wasn't going to let anything happen to him. I tucked him in, gave him a kiss, and turned on the nightlight. Before closing the door, I whispered to him, "Good night, James. I love you." I tried to stay up as long as I could, but after a few hours, I felt myself drifting off. My baby would be safe for the night, and I needed to sleep. Just as I lay my head on the pillow, I heard a soft noise come from the baby monitor. At first it sounded like interference, like the kind of a radio. Then it turned into a soft moan. Was James asleep? Then I heard it. The laugh from my nightmare. That horrible laugh. I sprung up from my bed and grabbed a knife from under the pillow. I rushed over to James' room and creaked the door open. I tried the light, but it wouldn't come on. I took a step in and I could feel the warm, thick liquid on my feet. Suddenly, James' nightlight came on, and I could see the absolute horror laid out in front of me. James's body was nailed up on the wall, the nails piercing through his hands and feet. His chest was cut wide open, and his organs hung out to the floor. His eyes and tongue had been removed, with most of his teeth. I was disgusted. I could hardly believe this was my James. Then I heard it again, the soft, desperate moan. James was still alive, barely clinging to life, and vomited on the floor, but my sickness was interrupted by a horrible crackle coming from behind me. I spun around while still wiping my vial from my mouth. Then out of the shadows emerged the fiend responsible for all this horror, Laughing Jack. His ghost-like white skin and matted black hair hung down to his shoulders. He had piercing white eyes surrounded by dark black rings. His twisted smile revealed a row of sharp, jagged teeth, and his skin didn't look like skin at all. It almost looked like rubber or plastic. He wore a patchy, black and white clown outfit with striped sleeves and socks. His body itself was grotesque, his long arms hanging down past his waist, the way he was poised like a rag doll. He let out a sickening laugh, as if to let me know he was pleased with my reaction to his work. He then turned around slowly in front of James and began to laugh even more at the horrific sight he has laid out. "Get away from him, you bastard!" I rushed out at the monster, raising the knife above my head, and stabbed him. But as soon as the knife touched him, he disappeared. In a cloud of black smoke, the knife passed right through and pierced James, splashing the warm blood on my face. No, what have I done? And I could hear sirens in the distance growing louder. The police soon arrived to find me in front of my son, still holding the knife covered in my baby's blood. The trial was short. Insanity. I was placed in an insane asylum for the criminally insane, where I have been for the last 2 months. It's not so bad here. The only reason I'm awake now is because someone is playing Pop Goes the Weasel outside my window.